Testing, testing. Hey, good morning, everybody. Yeah, I am so excited to see our summer camp children and their parents. So when you come on in, just have a seat in the first couple of rows. Good morning. My name is Deborah Wootring, and I am so excited to see the new families here that have never been inside of our main church building. For summer camp, we all came to Westwood Hall, so welcome. This is Emerson Unitarian Universalist Church's first annual summer camp celebration service. Welcome. Whether you came to camp this summer, volunteered, or are joining us for the first time today, welcome. I am a member of the Children and Youth Religious Education Committee, and because of that committee and the support of that committee, and because of the members of this church and the financial support and emotional support that you gave us, we were able to have a very successful summer camp. And today, we're going to tell you a little bit about what we did, and we're going to teach you a few songs and some chants, and so you guys can get the feel of what it was like to be at summer camp. I enjoyed serving as the assistant camp director during our Superhero Values Summer Camp, and I would like for us to jump in today singing, cheering, and being a little silly. That's what camp's all about. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our summer camp director, who was our staff person, the expert on campus, who worked with me since November on this endeavor. This is Miss Lynn Pierce, summer camp director.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lynn Pierce, and my pronouns are she, her. I serve as the Director of Religious Education at Northwoods Unitarian Universalist Church in the Woodlands. I have been a Unitarian Universalist for 24 years, and before that, I spent 31 years teaching deaf education in Houston Independent School District and Aldine Independent School District. I have been privileged to serve as Emerson's camp director for the last 2 summers, and I am so grateful to everyone who helped make this year's camp such a wonderful success. This morning, you're going to get a small taste of what our campers experienced during Superhero Values Camp. We had so many amazing campers that we split into 2 teams this year. Woohoo! Okay, so are you guys ready? Let's see if you're awake. This is an interactive service, and I don't know a lot of you by name, but I will call you by shirt color. So let's see if you guys are awake. When I point to this side of the sanctuary, I want to hear the loudest Justice League you can give me. 1, 2, 3.
Justice League!
Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3.
Justice League!
Awesome, fantastic. And when I point to this side of the sanctuary, let me hear it for the Caped Crusaders. 1, 2, 3. Caped Crusaders. Again, ready?
Caped Crusaders!
Justice League!
Justice League!
Thank you. That was awesome. Good job, Jamie. That was great. So, throughout, you guys can have a seat. Thank you for being our cheerleaders or our cheer sponsors. Throughout the week, these teams stayed together as they traveled from class to class, learning about our Unitarian Universalist values, cheering one another on, solving problems together, and discovering that everyone has unique strengths to share. By Friday, we weren't just superhero teams. They had all become caring communities. So today, all of us are one big camp community. So whether you are at camp or not, you're officially part of our team. We invite you to sing, play, wonder, laugh, and celebrate with us as we discover that the greatest superpower of all is building a community where everyone belongs. So at camp, we have a lot of a cappella sing-along songs, and I'm going to teach you the first one now. So please rise as you are willing and able to learn our song. It only has one word, la. Everybody, what's the one word? La. La. That's the whole word. That's the whole song, la. So if you'll stand up, I'm going to teach this in a call and response. And once we finish it, then we are going to be able to sing this together. Let's see if I on again. Maybe on again. Am I on? Come on. Diego's got me. There I am. Okay. Wow, I am loud. Okay, you guys ready? I'll sing, you respond. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Now wait for this part. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ready? La 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 la. La 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 la. You're experts now. That's as good as it gets, okay? We're going to sing this through 3 times. This is a song of rejoicing. It's a song of greeting. It's a song to get your attention. It's a song to get you involved in a way. So when we're singing, we're going to clap along. Look around at the people around you. Make eye contact. Consider this a way of greeting them. So you guys ready? 1, 2, ready, go. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Last time. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Excellent job, everyone. Reese, my friend, you're up.
As we gather in community, we look within ourselves and to each other for strength, for restoration, and for inspiration, so that as we journey together, we catch the spark of eternal spirit, and from that spark, we light our chalice flame. Lighting the chalice flame symbolizes to all that the spirit of our congregation is strong and that our will to transform ourselves and the world is also strong. We light the flame with gratitude. We light the flame in memory of all who have gone before, in honor of all who are here now, and with joy for all who are yet to come. As Deborah lights our chalice flame here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you joining us from home to light a candle or chalice of your own. Our chalice lighting this morning is from our summer camp. Please join me in reading these words as they appear on your screen. We light this flame with brave minds, caring hearts, and ready hands. We will use the power of our creativity to help others and make the world a better place, using our greatest superpower, love. We light this flame with brave minds, caring hearts, and ready hands. We will use the power of our creativity to help others and make the world a better place, using our greatest superpower, love.
And now, here we go. I'm shorter than he is. And now, with our chalices lit and our hearts and minds centered, we invite you to join your voices with ours in celebration by singing another camp song. But this is our camp theme song. You may stand if you're comfortable doing so, or you may stay seated. But please help us raise our voices and songs. Our opening hymn is My Own Superhero, which we will once again learn together. Okay, I'm going to scoot over. Okay. So we're going to do a call and response if you guys want to stand up. Oh, come on, Sarah, you got to help me. Okay. I'll start. I can climb this mountain. Ready? I can climb this mountain. I can brave the storm. I can brave the storm. I can be amazing. I can be amazing. There's no telling now how far I'll go. There's no telling now how far I'll go. When this day needs saving, when this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. It starts with me, I know. Ready? So I'll move and I'll rise and I'll choose and I'll try. So I'll move and I'll rise and I'll choose and I'll try to be my own superhero. To be my own superhero. So I'm going to ask, because this is a surprise to them, all of the campers and volunteers to come up here in the front with me, because we're going to help everybody out, especially when it comes to the verse. You can, turn around and face front. You can stand wherever you want to stand. I am happy with. So Marilyn is going to play for us, and we're going to sing through the whole thing. You guys join in when we get to the chorus. And now we welcome Aziza Mims to share our story with you today.
Thank you so much, Galen. All right. I hate to do this, but I'm going to ask everybody who is a child or feels like they're a child to come back up. It's not just my campers, everybody. Marae, that means you too. Come on, everybody. If you are childlike, come up. This is not limited by age. This is our story for all. Come one, come all. I'm really excited to read this story today. It's about two young ladies, and it's called the Sandwich Swap, okay? So at the end, I'm going to make it a little interactive. And I want you all to think about what type of sandwich you would like, all right? We're just going to have it shouted out real quick at the end, all right? But let's listen to the story first. This story is by Her Majesty Queen Reina Al Abdullah. And it begins. It all began with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Salma and Lily were best of friends at school. They drew pictures together, my type of activity. They played on the swings together, even more fun. They jumped rope together, a little dangerous at my age, but hey. And they ate lunch together. But just what they ate was a little different. Lily ate a peanut butter and jelly sandwich every day for lunch. Salma ate a hummus and pita sandwich every day for lunch. And although Lily never said it out loud, she thought Salma's sandwich looked weird and yucky. She felt terrible that her friend ate icky chickpea paste every day. I actually like chickpea paste, but okay. Ew, yuck! And although Salma never said it out loud, she thought Lily's sandwich looked strange and gross. She felt just awful that her friend ate a gooey peanut butter paste every day. Ooh, gross. Then one day, Lily just couldn't hold back those pesky thoughts any longer. You know what she said? Your sandwich looks kind of yucky. That's what she blurted out loud. What did you say, Selma asked, thinking she must have misunderstood her friend, saying such unfriendly things. Then Lily repeated, I said, your sandwich looks a little yucky. Selma frowned. She looked down at her thin, soft bread and thought of her beautiful smiling mother as she carefully cut Selma's sandwich into 2 neat halves that morning. Her feelings were really hurt, and she was mad. Yeah, well, your sandwich looks gross, and it smells bad too, Selma snapped back about Lily's peanut butter sandwich. Lily looked surprised. She sniffed the thick, squishy bread, and she thought of her dad and his silly apron, whistling as he cut Lily's sandwich into 2 perfect triangles that morning. Lily scoffed. It doesn't smell bad. Does too. Ew, yuck, ew, gross. Who's right and who's wrong? That afternoon, the friends did not draw pictures together. They did not swing together. And they did not do the dangerous jumping of rope. That next day, Salma ate her sandwich at one table and Lily ate her sandwich at another. Meanwhile, the peanut butter versus hummus story had spread and everyone began choosing sides. Each side had something not so nice to say to the other. Peanut butter breath, jelly head, garlic breath, chickpea brains. Ooh, these kids are creative. Pretty soon, the rude insults had nothing at all to do with peanut butter or hummus. You're weird, you're stupid, you're funny, you're just rude. And on it went. And then it happened. Somebody yelled, food fight. Peanut butter and hummus sandwiches and all other lunch favorites began flying back and forth between both sides of the lunchroom. They stuck to the walls, they stuck to the ceiling, they stuck to the lunch lady. When the sandwiches were all gone, pudding cups and applesauce and carrot sticks took flight. Selma and Lily looked at each other from across the rowdy, splattered room. They both felt ashamed by what they had started. They both felt really ashamed when the principal called them into her office after they had helped clean up the mess. The following day, Selma sat her lunch down across from Lily's. The two girls nibbled on their sandwiches in silence. Finally, Lily got up, the courage to speak, and this is what she said. Would you like to try a bit of my peanut butter and jelly sandwich? Selma grinned. Sure, why not? I'm not allergic to peanut butter. Would you like to try my hummus and pita? Lily laughed. I like that. On the count of 3. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Yummy. Hey, this is delicious. And this is heavenly. And the girls giggled and hugged and traded sandwiches. After lunch, Lily and Selma met with the principal again. This time, they were there to suggest a special event for the whole entire school. And that's how it all began. The peanut butter and jelly sandwich and ended with the hummus and pita sandwich. And they had a sandwich swap for the whole entire school. Yay. The end. Thank you, Galen. Galen picked this story to show us that it's okay to try new things, especially as the school year starts. Be open, be friendly, and be kind with your words.
And now we have our presentation of This Week in Unitarian Universalist History with Richard Cummins.
Thank you. Good morning. Unitarian Universalist history is very rich and varied, and almost 500 years of it is captured in this wonderful book by Frank Schulman, who was the reverend here for 25 years. So for this week in UU history, I've gone back to August 5th, 1811. William Greenleaf Eliot Jr. was born in New Bedford, Massachusetts. After graduating from Harvard Divinity School in 1834, he went to St. Louis, Missouri, to bring Unitarianism to the western frontier. On January 25th, in 1835, the first Congregational Society of St. Louis was organized, and its first building was dedicated on October 29th, 1837. Eliot served as its minister until ill health forced his resignation in 1869. During the Civil War, Eliot strongly supported the Union and opposed slavery, even though it cost him a few parishioners. His primary passion was education. He served on the St. Louis School Board and founded Washington University. Harvard awarded him a D.D. degree, and he died on January 23rd in 1887. And on August 8th in 1763, the celebrated architect Charles Bulfinch was born in Boston. He was particularly famous for the churches he designed in Boston, Taunton, Lancaster, and Pittsfield, all in Massachusetts. His most important work was the State House in Boston. Bulfinch also designed the State House in Hartford, Connecticut, and the Boston Theater. On a larger scale, he served on a committee that regularized the streets around Boston Commons. He also designed houses, one of which had an oval room adjoining its garden and became the design for the Oval Office in the White House. Bulfinch was a founding member of All Souls Church, which was Unitarian, in Washington, D.C., and designed its first building. He died in Boston on April 4th, 1844. And that is this week in UU history. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Richard. Okay, friends, young and old, we always begin camp each day by talking about our camp covenant. So, what is a covenant? A promise. Thank you for the child in the front who knew. A covenant is a promise. So, what are you promising? In part of a covenant, what are you promising? This is an interactive part again. What are you promising, Sultan? That's right. So what are we promising? When you guys make a covenant, what are you promising, friend? How to act, how to behave around each other, how to create your community, and how to be in community. So we are getting ready to read our camp covenant together, and we need your help on that. It will pop up in a minute. Still almost there, almost there. It will say Camp Covenant. I think the slides got mixed up. We can go one more. At our church, we call this being in beta. I'm glad that it comes on over here too. It makes me feel a whole lot better. There's one more, I think, that says Camp Covenant. Somehow we have missed Camp Covenant. So we're going to do this together. We're not going to worry about it, where it goes or where it is. So are you guys ready to help me? I'll say the words and you follow along. Ready? I promise.
I promise.
To work together.
To work together.
To make sure everyone is included and their needs are met.
To make sure everyone is included and their needs are met.
I promise.
I promise.
To work to take care of each other.
To work to take care of each other.
Our communities.
Our communities.
And all beings on earth.
And all beings on earth.
I promise.
I promise.
To make decisions together fairly.
To make decisions together fairly.
So that everyone succeeds.
So that everyone succeeds.
I promise.
I promise.
To work to share our resources.
To work to share our resources.
And remember to thank others for their help.
And remember to thank others for their help.
Hang in there, your arm isn't going to die yet. I promise.
I promise.
To learn, grow, and change.
To learn, grow, and change.
Remembering no one is perfect.
Remembering no one is perfect.
I promise.
I promise.
To learn from each other.
To learn from each other.
And celebrate the many ways.
And celebrate the many ways.
We are both alike and different.
We are both alike and different.
I promise to remember our values are grounded in love.
I promise to remember our values are grounded in love.
And Deborah's going to join us now for a short introduction to a lesson that she did about justice while we were at camp.
So every day at camp, we picked one of the Unitarian Universalist values to focus on. And on Wednesday, we were lucky enough to have Aziza join us. And it truly was a co-teaching moment, because I told a story, and this is the 10-second version. I think I was able to elaborate and keep the kids' attention, but the essence of the story that I wanted them to pretend that they were inside of the story. And I divided them up by the kids who had the shoes that were solid colors and the kids that had different designs, different colored designs on their shoes. And I made them sit in two different areas. And I told them that they were at school and I was the teacher. And so for the kids who had shoes that were solid colors, I told them that I did not like their shoes and that they could not have as much recess time as the kids whose shoes that I really liked. And the kids with the multicolored shoes, I said, I really like you, and because you have the multicolored shoes, then you get extra recess. And then I asked, and is there anything else that you'd like to do today? And one of them said, yes, I'd like to play on the computers more. And I said, well, sure. Anybody in the group with the tennis shoes with the multicolors, they get extra recess and they get to play with the computers longer. So when we finished talking about the story, I said, we're now out of the story. And let's in our own minds talk about how that made us feel. How did the group who had the shoes that the teacher didn't like and had less recess, and the groups with the shoes that the teachers did like and got more recess? The kids were just, brilliant. They could feel what it was like to be treated differently in a positive way and feel how it felt to be treated in a negative way. And even the children who were treated in a positive way said, it made me feel really sad for the kids who didn't get the special treatment. Even those kids could feel some empathy and compassion. So the lesson was about justice, right? And then Aziza came up and she added her part. And so at this moment, I wish you guys had been there for the whole hour, but this is the little tidbit. So I'm going to turn it over to my co-teacher, Aziza, who I would say that I'm so privileged to have taught with. She's a great teacher.
Thank you so much, Deborah. We'll move to the next slide. Yes, I found it wonderful that we got to teach about justice. Honestly, justice is very simple. It means that you have a moral and legal obligation to be fair. And it should seem that simple in everything that we do, that we are fair and that we treat each other right. But a lot of times we're divided, whether it's by shoe color or shoe design or our color or our way that we're educated or the faith that we believe in there or the way we live our lives. There's a reason to divide us. So I wanted to teach the kids about balance. We have the balance scales of justice that I'm sure everyone has seen in the courtrooms. And then we have yin and yang, right? And that is also a balance. So they made a shield. Above, you'll see the shield that we made. And they also made a justice badge. And they got to choose whether or not they made the scales or they could make the yin and yang. So with teaching them fairness and that we have more in common as people than we have apart, we came up with this little saying, and it is more together than apart. Say it with me. More together than apart. More together than apart. More together than apart. But that's only half of the story, right? Just like the balance scales or the yin and yang, more together than apart is something important to remember, right? When we see each other, we should remember that we have more in common with our fellow man and human than anything else. But it's also important to remember that when you see someone being treated unjust, you must stand up and say something. So there's two parts. One, you have to remember that you have more together than the part. And now say with me, stand up, say something, stand up, say something, stand up, say something. So if you see someone treated unfairly, if you see someone not treated correctly, I'm asking you to go out with a just heart and stand up and say something. That's it. Thank you.
Edwin.
We pause in the stillness to rest for a moment. We quiet ourselves so that we can feel what stirs within us. Each breath draws us closer to the pulse of life. And with each exhalation, we make room for something new. And the meditation.
Oh, let's.
Emerson collects an offering each week, like many other communities of faith, but our offering is not for our church, which is supported by the annual pledges of our members. We collect our Sunday offering to give to others because we know that giving is both a transformative spiritual act and that it is an important way to live our values. 75% of today's offering will go to our August Share the Plate recipient, Emerson ESL program. The program was created in 2014 to serve the fast-growing immigrant population of Houston. We have served students from all over the globe speaking 12 different languages. The vast majority of the funding for our ESL program is from the Emerson community. In addition, however, donations have also come from other UU churches and friends of the ESL program who are not members of Emerson. We feel the Emerson ESL program is the crown jewel of our social action programs and appreciate your support. The remaining 25% of today's offering will go to our wonderful community partner, Interfaith Ministries Meals on Wheels program, which uses our donated treasure to provide meals to thousands of Houston's homebound seniors each and every day. You can go to our webpage for online giving, put cash or a check in our offering basket, or mail a check to the church.
Deborah, do you want to join us for a minute?
The words for our reading today come from Things Fall Apart, written by Cynthia Chinua Uchebe, who was a Nigerian novelist, poet, and critic who was regarded as a central figure of modern African literature. He writes, "A man who calls his kinsmen to a feast does not do so to save them from starving. They all have food in their own homes. When we gather together in the moonlit village ground, it is not because of the moon. Every man can see it in his own compound. We come together because it is good for kinsmen to do so." In other words, everyone has food at home, and everyone can see the moon from where they live. People don't gather together because they have to. People gather together because being together makes life better. We learn from each other. We have fun together. And remember that we all belong together, better together.
Wow, that's a long reach there. So, who remembers Vacation Bible School? Anybody? Vacation Bible School? Okay. So you woke up early, you found your name tag, you packed your lunch, and you headed off for a day of adventure. The day probably began with prayers and Bible stories, maybe some hymns or camp songs, and some kind of an opening ritual. Then you played games, you made God's eye crafts with yarn and popsicle sticks, you tie-dyed shirts, and you learned some important lessons. And somewhere along the way, there was probably a sermon. And if your VBS was anything like mine, there was eventually an altar call and someone got saved. Just like summer camp at Emerson, right? Well, almost. We didn't pray. We didn't sing hymns. We didn't read Bible verses. And as far as I know, nobody got saved. Although if somebody did, it was probably from one of the stray water shooters that we had on one of our days. But here is the interesting thing. If you took away the Bible part, our week at Emerson looked an awful lot like Vacation Bible School. Every morning, campers arrived with their water bottles and lunches. We gathered together. We lit the chalice using our special camp words. We talked about our camp covenant and the value of the day, and we sang our camp song. Then we went off to classes and played games and created things and tie-dyed shirts and experimented and talked and laughed and learned and ended our days together. So maybe Emerson's superhero values camp was VBS, just without the B. But that raises a really interesting question. Why do we do this? Why do we spend a week bringing children together? Why do adults take vacation time and buy supplies and organize activities and make lesson plans and clean up messes and supervise water games and occasionally wonder why we thought this was a good idea? Why? Well, the answer actually goes back further than summer camp. It goes back thousands of years. Human beings have always gathered, long before churches, long before summer camps, long before schools, long before we had air conditioning and folding chairs. People gathered. Seasonal gatherings gave people opportunities to share food and stories and knowledge and celebrations and traditions and resources. They reconnected with people that they hadn't seen in months and sometimes even years. And they reminded themselves of something important. We belong to something larger than ourselves. We are not alone. We're connected and we need one another. And that's one of the reasons we still gather today. We gather to celebrate and learn. We gather when someone is born and when someone dies. We gather when something needs fixing and there's work to do. We gather when we need help. We gather when sometimes because the only way to become a community is to actually spend time together. And that's exactly what happened at Emerson this summer. So how did this summer camp begin? So in March of 2025, Deborah Watring and Reverend Ed and a group of dedicated religious education volunteers began talking about bringing summer camp back to Emerson. They had heard about the success of Northwoods Camp, and they reached out to me for guidance. We talked about possible themes, and we talked about schedules and teachers and volunteers and activities, but I had a different question. I wanted to know why. Why do you want to do this? What did you actually hope would happen because of this camp? Deborah's answer was exactly what I hoped to hear. She wanted to rebuild community. She wanted children who were already part of Emerson to have a place to belong, and she wanted children from the larger community to come. She wanted children to have a safe place where they could learn about one another, discover their differences, find their similarities, and practice caring for each other. She wanted a place where children could have fun while learning and would be able to share the values that cross religions and cultural boundaries. And that sold me, because that's what we do at a UU summer camp. Not because it's a fundraiser, not because we need something to fill a week in July, and not because children need somewhere to go while adults are working. We do it because gathering matters, and because what happens when we gather can change us. Writer Priya Parker, in her book, The Art of Gathering, argues that meaningful gatherings need a purpose. We need to know why we're gathering. And I think there are three big reasons we gather in communities like ours. We gather to build community, to learn from one another, and we gather so that together we can do things we would never do alone. Let's start with community. We need other people. One of my favorite things about camp was watching children who didn't necessarily know one another become a community. Our campers included returning campers, children from Emerson, children from the surrounding community, children whose families came from other countries, and children who simply found us. From the beginning, we intentionally created opportunities for them to connect. We separated siblings and existing friendship groups whenever possible, and we created multi-age groups. We gave children the opportunities to meet other people that they might not have chosen to play with on their own. And then we watched something wonderful happen. The older kids began looking out for the younger ones. The younger kids thought the older kids were incredibly cool, and friendships started forming. And sometimes people who didn't immediately get along started figuring out how to be together. One of our campers ended up in one group with two other children who already knew each other. All three were energetic, all three had big personalities, and all three were accustomed to being the one who got the most attention. Let's just say there were some conflicts. By the end of the first day, we sat down together and we talked about being different. And we talked about what we had in common. And we talked about finding kind words and being thoughtful about how we occupy space and assuming goodwill. And did that one conversation magically fix everything? Absolutely not. But something changed. Over the course of the week, those children practiced the values we were talking about. They learned how to communicate and how to listen and how to make room for someone else. And by the end of camp, they were friends. That's community. Not everybody being the same, not everybody agreeing, not everybody getting along perfectly. Community is learning how to be different people who still belong together. And that's a very UU kind of superpower. Now, one of my favorite things about camp was watching adults teach kids games that many of us played when we were younger. Reese and Edwin, if you can help me out. We're going to try one. Who remembers hot potato? Who ever played hot potato? Any of you? Some of you? Good. Awesome. So we're going to play, because I know you knew that was coming. So we're going to play a simple version of it. You're going to pass the ball down your row. And when you get to the end, you pass it over, or you may need to toss it, depending on how far away someone is. You'll continue passing it until the chant ends. So let's do a quick reminder of the chant. I'll start. You respond. Hot potato, who has the hot potato? Ready? Hot potato, who has the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are out. Ready? If you have the hot potato, you are out. Now, I'm going to say it one time through. You guys help me, and then we're going to play. Are you ready? We got this. Ready? Hot potato, who has the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are out. Okay, you guys ready? Now we're going to play. Some of you have balls, and you're going to see some coming to you, and they may be in the air, so you got to be paying attention. Okay, are you guys ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Hot potato, who has the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are out. Okay, everybody grab the potatoes again. We're gonna play again. Are you ready? Are you ready? 1, 2, ready, go. Hot potato, who has the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are out. Okay. Marco. Let's try again. Marco. Once again, something we use at camp works great. So what happened when you were playing? How many of you remembered playing this game when you were younger? Yes, Deborah, we can play one more time. Okay. 1, 2, ready, go. Hot potato, who has the hot potato? If you have the hot potato, you are out. And Deborah ended up out. That was awesome. So, how many of you have not played that game in years? Okay. Did anyone suddenly remember playing with someone? A specific person? Did you remember playing with a friend or a sibling or a cousin or maybe even a parent? That's the power of a simple game. It connects generations. And here's the really wonderful part. During camp, children weren't just learning games. We were passing them on. So one of our older campers came to me one day and asked, when were we going to play musical cushions? I had no idea what she was talking about. And then she reminded me that the year before we had created our own version of musical chairs using the cushions that we sit on at camp. And suddenly other campers remembered, and the older campers explained the rules to the new campers, and we played. And by the third day, the new campers were asking to play again. And then they started adding their own rules. And when two people land on the same cushion, rock, paper, scissors. Because apparently, in case you guys didn't know, rock, paper, scissors is always the law. And just like that, we had a tradition. It was a tiny tradition, but traditions have to start somewhere. That is how communities developed institutional memory, through stories and games and phrases and traditions. Ways of solving problems, ways of caring for one another, and those things get passed on from one person to another. So the second reason we gather in communities is a phrase that some of you have heard: learning is a two-way street. Yes? We often think of education as something going on that adults give to children. The adults know things, the children learn things. The end. But that isn't how real community works. Real learning goes both ways. And at camp, we intentionally give children the opportunities to talk. We want to hear their ideas, and we want them to question things, and we want them to tell us what they thought. And sometimes they taught us something. And sometimes a child had a completely different way of looking at a problem. And sometimes a youth volunteer knew how to explain things in a way an adult couldn't. And sometimes the youngest camper in the room had the best idea. And isn't that how learning works? Parents taught children, grandparents taught grandchildren, farmers taught apprentices, siblings taught siblings. People learn by watching, doing, and telling stories. And it still happens. Maybe someone taught you how to make a particular family recipe. Maybe your grandparents taught you how to sew. Maybe someone taught you how to change a tire. Maybe you learned a card game that has absolutely nothing to do with the official rules. But maybe those rules have become your family tradition, and you've passed it on and shared it. And that is part of building community. So one of the things that we talked about at Superhero Values Camp were not just that we can be superheroes, but that our UU values guide us there. So let's see very quickly. Who knows the UU values? Who knows the values? Tell me one. Somebody tell me a value. Justice. We got that one. Love is not actually a value. It's part of the whole thing that holds us together. Justice. What else?
Equity.
Equity. Laith, what you got?
Interdependence.
The one with the generosity.
Generosity. I heard transformation. I heard interdependence. I think we got all of them. And equity, thank you. And a good way to remember it, it's not my favorite acronym, but the UU has embraced it, is JET-PIG. Justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, generosity. JET-PIG. And there you have that. So you can walk away with at least something. But underneath all of it is love. We talked about these values and what they look like, not just in a classroom and not just at camp, but in our neighborhoods and all around us. So one of the things that I learned about at camp that I had not anticipated was the sharing that took place. Last year, I was very focused as a retired teacher and as somebody who works at camp on making sure everybody followed the rules about food. No sharing food. That's the rule. Make sure everyone has the right kind of food, make sure the meals are healthy, and make sure all the rules are followed. And those things matter. But this year, I realized something. Sometimes we can follow every rule and miss the point. This year, we made sure there was food available for anyone who was hungry. And when a child offered some of their food to another child, I stopped and I looked and I let it happen. And what I saw was beautiful. Children sharing with children they might never have thought to share with under different circumstances. Sometimes the child who was sharing, the one who was offering, was not the one who had the most food at home. They were probably the one who had the least. And sometimes someone was willing to give and somebody else was willing to receive. And both were acts of generosity. Because generosity isn't just about having enough to give, but it's about being willing to accept as well. Your well-being and my well-being are connected. And that brings me, I promise we're getting there, to the value that struck me the most deeply, interdependence. The entire week was really about interdependence. Why do we gather? Because we need each other. We need people we can count on. We need people we can trust. We need places where we can be vulnerable. We need places where we can be different and still be valued. We need places where we can say, this is who I am, and here, you belong here. So during camp, we did the traditional web activity where we threw the yarn and everybody passed it along. Have you all done that? Yes, no, yes, no. Imagine everybody has a bit of yarn and you just pass it from person to person. And what happens when one person moves the yarn? It moves all the string. It does make a trail of yarn. You are absolutely correct, Amy. And it also, when you move one part of the web, it moves all the parts. It's a wonderful reminder of how interconnected we are and that we need to remember that when we do things, it affects those around us. So during camp, our children created their own superhero personas. They designed masks, they created costumes, they came up with superpowers and names, and they were phenomenal. But today you're going to do something a little bit different, and you're only going to have a minute to really kind of start it. But I'm going to ask that you take this homework from a retired teacher, take the homework home, and try to do it. You'll have fun, don't worry. So you were all given a mask and some markers when you walked in. So what if we looked at the superpower thing differently? I want you to think of someone who could use a superpower. Maybe it's a child, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's you. What superpower would you give them? Would you give them the power of courage, or the power to speak up, or the power to heal, or the power to see possibilities where there are problems, or the power to be generous, or to seek justice, or to transform? Or perhaps the greatest superpower of all, the knowledge that they're not alone. So I want you to create a mask with that person in mind. I know we don't have time to do it now, but you can kind of start. And I do want you to promise to give that to someone, whether it's to yourself or to the person you are thinking about. Because we need to remember that those superpowers are there for everyone. And while we can create them and learn about them, giving them and sharing them is one of the biggest gifts that you can give. So let's return to our original question, which is why we gather. Why do we have summer camp? Why church? Why classrooms? Why potlucks or coffee hour or small groups? Why do we do it? Because we need one another. We need to gather, we need to learn, we need to celebrate. We need to share our joys, we need to share our sorrows, and we need to be there for each other. We need adults who can help children and love them, and we need children who can remind adults how to play. I saw children who began the week as strangers during camp, and they ended as friends. And I saw adults learning from children, and children learning from adults. None of it's perfect, none of it's conflict-free. Not everybody agrees, but people choose to stay connected. And that, my friends, is a superpower. And maybe that's the real lesson of summer camp. We don't gather because we need to create superheroes. We gather because superheroes are already here. They're in our churches and our classrooms and our neighborhood and our community. They're on the playgrounds, they're holding our water bottles, they're wearing masks, and they're arguing about who gets the last turn on the swing. They're the volunteers who wash the dishes and clean the toilets and clean up the glitter and pass out the masks and set up our tech. They're the person who says, I don't understand, but I'm willing to listen. They're the person who says, come over here and let's talk about it. Priya Parker writes that we gather to solve problems that we can't solve on our own. We gather to celebrate and to mourn and mark transitions. We gather to make decisions, and we gather because we need one another. And that's my hope for all of us, that we keep gathering, that we keep asking why. Why are we here? Who is missing from our table? And who needs a place to belong? Because gathering is how we find the answer. May we remember that our greatest power is not strength or speed or intelligence or even courage. Our greatest power is our ability to connect. And remember that love does make the world a little better for everyone. Thank you. So our closing hymn today is not actually, there you go. Gotta get off your phone, my friend.
Our closing hymn today is not actually Our closing hymn today is not actually a hymn, but a video. It's a video sharing some of our greatest camp moments. So sit back and enjoy a day in the life of a superhero.
This mountain, I can brave the storm. I can be amazing. There's no telling now how far I'll go when this day needs saving. It starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. And I'll be a light in the dark. I'll do the right thing when it's hard. I'll reach out my hand if we start to drift apart. When you need my help, I'll be there. 'Cause your superpowers are meant to be shared. We're brighter together and stronger than ever. Hand in hand and heart to heart. I can climb this mountain. I can brave the storm. I can be amazing. There's no telling now how far I'll go when this day needs saving. It starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. Never give up. I'll never give in. And each time I fall, I will rise again. When this day needs saving, it starts with me, I know. So I will move, I will rise, I will choose, I will try to be my own superhero. Oh, I will be my own superhero.
So each time we come together, we move. We move with the words we hear, with the music we hear. We move with the light of the chalice, which, like us, flickers and flutters from side to side, moving constantly yet tethered to its source. We extinguish this chalice now, not as a symbolic ritual, but as a practical ritual. We do this because the flickering, fluttering light of our congregation is carried within each of us present here. Those not present today, those who left this community long ago, never to return, and those who have yet to arrive. Please join me as we say our camp closing words. We extinguish this flame until we meet again, but we do not extinguish the fire that burns within each of us to make the world better. We go forth now in love. We are so grateful for your presence this morning. For those of you who have joined us on YouTube, after the postlude, we'll be ending our live streaming service. We love having you and look forward to seeing you here, either online or on Bering Drive. May we, in the course of our week to come, be able to feel the liberating freedom of this religious path we share. May our gods welcome us. May they challenge us to live up to our own expectations of ourselves, wherever and whatever they are. And may the world around us light us up so that we might see our way back to clarity and wholeness. The hardest part of camp is always the last day. Our creations are gathered, we have said our goodbyes, and we have to go back to the ordinary world. It's easy to feel like our superpowers only work when we're surrounded by our camp friends. But remember this, the cape doesn't give the hero the power. The power is already inside the hero. The camp didn't give you your goodness or your kindness. It just reminded you that it was there all along. And as we begin our new year, let's bring the camp spirit into this sanctuary and out into our communities. Let us be living, breathing, caped crusaders and members of our own Justice League. Go out and use your powers for love, for justice, and for each other. Blessed be, and wahoo!
Every morning during our open
Thank you.